Hey, what is up, guys? Ivan here with KentIvan.com, and in this video, we're going to be going over my Scrapebox Proxy recommendations. This is the second video in this probably ever continuing series where I've gone over more proxy services, vetted some new services, and I have some new discoveries I want to share in terms of viable options for proxies with Scrapebox. And I want to talk about some issues I was running into recently that kind of caused me to look into proxies again. So basically, I do a ton of scraping to date. I do maybe an average of like 9 terabytes of scraping every month. So it's a lot because I offer I'm doing a fiber gig now where I'm scraping just all kinds of information, mostly emails and business listings and things like that. And I was using WebShare. So in my 1.0 video, you'll see me talking about WebShare. And this was working really well for me for 3 or 4 months. And then scraping through Bing, I started to see some more misses than I was accustomed to. And really all it was that I wasn't refreshing the proxy. So I had like 500 proxies, and it's kind of amazing really that data center proxies, 500 data center proxies can last me, basically almost 20 terabytes worth of scraping and not get completely burned, but they kind of were getting, fried a bit over time. So that's definitely a testimony WebShare. But when that happened with all the orders that I have to handle, I really kind of panicked and I freaked out, and I was like, WebShare, I need a refund. I need to find something, figure something out. And I looked at their refresh, and I don't know. For some reason, I just was like, no, I can't handle this. I got to move on, and I got to find something else that's going to be more automated in terms of those, refresh per query kind of thing. And it's such a huge process that led me down this path. And I did full blown research doing, proxy software, proxy services, doing all kinds of searches and just opening tabs and looking at the various services and just vetting everything all over again, And there's a lot of proxy services, but people kind of have this attitude. They look out and they think, oh, well, there's all this competition. It's not really the case. There's really a small number of proxy services that are viable for large scale scraping because you have to have a reasonable speed. You have to have particularly unlimited bandwidth. You have to have a large number of concurrent connections. You can, and a lot of services are, like rotating proxies is really popular. It's ranking really well right now. And a lot of them have just not very many connections. So this is the issue. I think there's probably more proxy services out there that have maybe a pretty good level of quality, but then the number of connections is just too low. So, you just can't do a whole lot of scraping when you don't have enough concurrent connections. You don't have enough threads to work with, So I went through all these various lists of services out there. I haven't, looked at everything possible. I haven't certainly vetted everything, but what I do is I look at it on paper. It's got to meet my criteria on paper. And then I go and I'll maybe do a trial or see if it's something, that I can viably test. Let's take a look at this one. I don't remember seeing this one. But I have to look at this one later. And some of them are kind of like, this is kind of an old looking site, kind of odd, and there is a sector that I haven't looked at in terms of like foreign proxy companies, particularly Russian companies, I think, because I've seen some crazy prices from some Russian companies for proxies in bulk. So that would be something to look at. Take a look, in the future, maybe look for Ivan's Scrapebox Proxy Recommendations 3.0, or, some other version down the line where maybe I start vetting some of those other odd things. But in this case, I looked over the popular services again, and I was just looking for something that was kind of, established and that, had the right criteria and I could test. So these are the three that I, retested. I did something again in WebShare, inevitably that's what I came back to, and I'll talk about that at the end. But the two big ones that I really tested were local proxies, premium residential proxies, and then rotatingproxies.com. I may have tested a couple others that fell on their face, but I don't remember what they were. But these are the ones that really got my attention. I really tested because Loopline, who does a lot of videos on Scrapebox out there on YouTube, he recommended this as the #1 service now. And I also saw them ranking really high. So they have a service down here in their footer for Scrapebox proxies. So it's kind of odd because they label them as Scrapebox proxies, but then they're the same exact prices as their typical back connect, rotating proxies. Not really sure if they're different or if that's just a branding thing that they've done so that they can rank for Scrapebox. But it took like a full, now disclaimer here, the customer support for these guys was really, really good. And so I feel a little bit bad that I'm not able to give them a better, review, better feedback, but because their customer support was so great in my experience. But unfortunately, when I tested the proxies, I was shocked to find that they were become just unusable. When I did this, I bought this. I didn't get to do a trial because they have a trial on their homepage, but it's kind of subtle. It was just like request a trial. So, I don't really pay attention to the, here, fill in an opt-in form kind of thing. If it says $5 for a trial, like they told me it's $5. Like you can request a trial and pay $5. So if you wanted to do that and try one of their other products, that would be a worthwhile thing for you to do. And I'll talk about some of the other products, but I tested, I actually bought this because they're supposed to be residential. Well, I thought they were residential. They're not. Apparently, they told me that these Scrapebox proxies, they said they're unbannable. So I assumed that they were residential. They're not residential. I guess that means they're data center IPs. And you see all this good stuff here. But it took a really long time for them to set up. It was like 24 hours or something. It was like a day. I had to wait like a day for them to be set up. So that was tedious. And then when I finally got them, they didn't work. They didn't work for Google at all. They didn't even work for Bing. So the quality was just really bad. I freaked out again. I submitted a support ticket. Support was really, really gracious and helpful. They did give me a refund, which I think they make an exception because they do have a no refund policy, which I didn't know about until I was panicking. So just be aware of that. Don't dive in here, do the trial. Try the exact product that you want to look into. And I do think there are some other products you should look into from rotatingproxies.com. But yeah, they were just completely unusable. They gave me some reasons why it didn't work. It had nothing to do with me. It had something to do with some configuration thing in terms of them improving their network and the nature of these types of proxies. So yeah, I just wanted to throw this out there. This did not work, even though they're very high ranked and very highly recommended for some reason. I don't get it. But I will say the support was really gracious and helpful. They recommended to me, I want to say, it's these. These are residential proxies, and so they're very expensive. But residential proxies are much higher quality. They are supposedly undetectable, tier 1 ISPs and things like that. So you're talking about a lower number of threads, but you're talking about much higher quality. So these should be things. Now, I haven't done the trial on these and tested these, but for most of you guys, it would probably be something in this range, 10 proxies for $40 a month. And actually, this is a sale. So that might be something to look into. And that might be, if you're using it at a smaller scale just for you, then these might be good to do it even at 10 threads. I used 10 threads for a really long time, or about 15 threads. I changed my IP. So don't underestimate a small number of connections for some high quality proxies. This I just wanted to throw this out there and just mention this as something to try. But the Scrapebox proxies didn't work. In terms of rotate, these are not rotating. So if you bought these, you just get 10 proxies, and you kind of hope that none of them get burned. And when you're doing things at scale, it's just kind of like, I don't know, like I just don't see how that can work at the Scrapebox scale. But anyways, fantastic customer support, but the product just doesn't work for large scale scraping purposes. So anyways, that's rotatingproxies.com. I wanted to mention them because they're kind of a new player on the block. Local proxies. So I went through the whole list of Black Hat World forums proxy services that were pinned, and some of the ones that had a lot of interactions. And a lot of those, they don't rank, but they seem to be popular. And some of them are priced just ridiculous, like hundreds of dollars and even thousands of dollars per month. It's just like, what's the deal here? Why are these so overpriced? And I think a lot of it is the more small scale social media types of use cases. For scraping purposes, I don't think that a lot of those services are going to be viable, especially at the price point. That really does matter. And this is the only service that I looked at that seemed to have everything on paper. The live chat answered my question really quickly about this system of rotation to 10 minutes rotation upon request. So here's how it works. This is actually a viable service. And at the price point, it's probably more viable for most of you guys than a lot of other services out there. And I did test it, and it does work. Okay, so here's how it works, though. You got your rotation every request. You got $120 for 40 threads at the bottom level plan. You got unlimited IP authorization. Now, this section says random international country mix. So this is a problem when you want to have explicitly U.S. proxies for scraping, U.S. search engine or sites, perhaps. IP change on every request. So this is good. This is not so great. Then you've got unlimited bandwidth, so that meets the criteria. It's got SOX and HTTP support. Now it says they're residential, so this is awesome. For it to be rotating, but then residential, unlimited bandwidth, even at this price and this number of threads, they're rotating upon request. So this is pretty cool. I don't know if it's better than Proxy Rotator, which I covered in my last video. I came really close to resubscribing to this service recently, but I have had such a terrible customer service. These people are the worst, top 10 worst customer service experiences. I have ordered from them 4 or 5 times since 2017. Every single time they give me grief with their customer service. So their proxy network is fantastic. It's really high quality, super fast, perfect success rate. But the number of concurrent connections is not accurate. Like the premium basically says 250 concurrent connections. The premium network only gives you like 25. So it's like 10 times lower in order to do the premium network. So you're talking about $100 a month for 25 premium connections. And then these guys give you, roughly $100 a month for 40. So these guys are kind of seem to be better. But the problem is, this is the issue with this package, random international countries mix. So that's kind of a problem with the number of threads. And that's the reason that I did not test this specific facet of the of their service. This is what I tested because this hit everything on paper. So the way the ports work is each port, they told me is 50 threads, I believe. So you order by the port. And so I tested this package right here, 3 ports for 130. And the funny thing was, so that should be 150 threads according to their customers. Actually, it might be here. It's probably still here. No, it's not still here. I asked them a question in this live chat, and that's what they answered my question about the ports. But when I tested it, I got a lot of failures above 50 ports. So maybe the trial only came with 50 ports, even though I did the trial on this package. But it was only 50 ports. I'm not really sure what happened. It could have something to do with Scrapebox, because with some services, with some proxy services, the number of threads that you put in the Scrapebox is cut in half. I don't know why that is. Scrapebox uses some services, the proxies are utilized in an odd way. So it could be that Scrapebox is using I had to put 50 ports in Scrapebox, or 50 threads in Scrapebox, but they were actually using more. It was hard to tell. Anyways, the IP changes every 10 minutes here. Unlimited access to all countries. So this is huge. So you can target USA, UK, whatever. Unlimited IPs, unlimited bandwidth, all the support and all the thing. Now these are residential. This is what's awesome about this service. The residential proxies. I tested them and then I had a good experience. It was a good result. So this service is legit. If you're at a lower budget, $50 a month, this is a good package. You'll get 50 threads supposedly, or hopefully, a decent number of threads. They change every 10 minutes. This is also great for Scrapebox if you're doing like the form fill feature where you're submitting to contact forms, because if the IP changes every request, then you can't do the contact form submission thing in Scrapebox. And then with this though, you can do contact form submission, and 10 minutes is like a relatively quick period of time where you can use a certain number of proxies and switch over. So honestly, this is one of the most viable, legitimate services on the market. In my experience, in my testing, and just looking at things on paper, it really hits everything that you need. The reason that I didn't resubscribe, this one thing in terms of the scale that I do things at many terabytes per month at a service level, is the threads. So it's just not enough threads. I need lots and lots of concurrent connections. So it could be down the line that I end up subscribing to this, or maybe this, or something like that, and then I just put a port into one area, because I have multiple VPS servers, and so maybe I'll have one port for this server, and one port for this server, and one port for just the search engine scraping, one port for the directory scraping, so maybe I could segment my ports in the future, as I do more business and have more money from the service. But it's just not quite there. But it's really attractive in that the different countries is also a really awesome deal, because most of the services you have to buy the proxies from a specific country, and then you just have those for the country. You can't just access whatever countries that you want, so what I mean is you can't access countries that you want on demand. You have to harden the country you select. So I'm assuming at the very least that, well, anyways, great service. I vetted it. It works really well. I recommend this service. I don't know. I probably should check if they have that looks like they don't have an affiliate program, but oh well. Okay, so then finally, let's talk about web share again. Is there, I don't know if there's any prices here. I really should be showing this in my back end just to kind of show some features, but the price for web share is fantastic. They're high ranking service right now. I've recommended them in the past. I think I've recommended them in 2 videos now, and I panicked from them. I moved away. I tested some things. I went back. I looked at some of their features, and I figured out a combination for how to make it work really well. So basically, they do unlimited bandwidth. And what's one of the awesome, it's data center IPs, I believe, but their threads are killer. They give you they have a special feature you can check off to. So I think most of their plans, they let you do 500 threads. So I think even with a lower number of actual proxies, you see it says threads 500 to 3,000, even with 50 proxies. So you can have a lot of the same proxies doing queries, like, which is really important, really valuable to me when I have multiple servers and I have to have multiple. I want to do multiple. I want to scrape, with the same proxies across multiple servers. And in the past, I was using 500 threads with 500 proxies. And so I did have some errors when I was running across different servers, but what was basically happening was the retries and the pendings were just, it was still running through. It was just taking a little bit of extra time. But I also, when I resubscribed to these guys, their customer service is really good, by the way. I told them what happened. They gave me a refund. They were really gracious, and they gave me some information. So that was a great experience with their customer service, and they really helped me out. But then I came back, and so I checked off a special feature to be able to get more than 2,500 concurrent connections, and it was a little bit of extra money. It was like $30 extra or something, but it was worth it because I've been noticing a difference. And so the price is really great. Let's jump over to my account backend. So here's my account backend. Hopefully there's nothing sensitive back here. But as you can see, I recently resubscribed for 600 proxies with unlimited bandwidth. It's about $100 a month, and about 500 of them are USA, 100 of them are UK, and because I recently started doing UK scraping because I've been getting requests for UK scraping. And then you can see 100% of the proxies refresh once per month. I pay monthly. You can pay a lot less by the year, but I'm still experimenting with the right combination of things, and as demand increases, I'll need to change the subscription probably. I don't do IP authorization because for some reason there's issues there. It seems to be better to use the passwords, but high threads and concurrency enabled. I don't have any on-demand refreshes. I kind of thought about doing that. So there's so many different configurations that you can do with this service to adjust the pricing. But you could not, if you wanted to, you could, instead of doing an automated refresh once per month, you could do an on-demand refresh. But the thing is, I noticed that they expire every month. So it's kind of like, well, I wouldn't want my refresh to expire. I'll just have it do it automated. I thought about adding some extra stuff. But then what's funny is in the midst of me doing all that, I also figured out, let's see, what do I have open here? Yeah, I'll go here in a second. I also revetted some, let me drop this down here. I revetted some search engine stuff. So when we take a look, let me put something in here. When we take a look at all this stuff, I no longer use Bing, and this is a huge thing. I basically tested all this stuff again. And the viable ones, Bing is essentially viable. Yahoo, let's see, Search.com, Exalead, Goo, and that's it. Those are the only ones that are viable from this particular list. And Goo is kind of meh. Bing has a lot of doing a lot of blocks now. It's really down to these three: Search.com, Exalead, and Yahoo. Search.com is so similar to the Yahoo searches, it kind of makes me think it's based on either Bing or Yahoo. So not really sure what's going on there, but that's kind of an option. Exalead seemed to give some unique results, so that's viable. But it really comes down to Yahoo. Yahoo is 100% successful. Every keyword is getting scraped for every quantity that you put. So I use Yahoo now. That could change to search.com, and that could change to, all kinds of things. So in a sense, it's a kind of question, is it even necessary to do the proxy refreshes now that I'm using Yahoo? So to be continued on that determination. But point is, I wanted to share this configuration with you guys. This is what I'm using now, and I've also changed the search engine Scrape Focus. It's working really well. I've tested scraping on yellow pages and some, custom scrapes and things like that. And so WebShare is continuing to work, and you get just a ton of, you got a ton of proxies, got a ton of concurrency. You're talking about 2,500 plus concurrency. Here it is, high threads. So for the price, like most of you guys could probably pay $50 a month and get a lot of proxies. And then let's actually browse the plans, see if we can find something here. So just shared proxies are going to work for most purposes. They charge a ton more for, well, actually, wait a second. For dedicated, these are not that, it's less. Oh, I see, starting at, this wasn't per proxy, this was per month, so yeah. And they're rotating packages, like their rotation prices are extremely expensive. So you can't really do more than a rotation a month without paying a ton. Like here's rotate once per hour, but 50 proxies once per hour for $50. That's not great. If you're gonna pay $50, you might as well go with localproxies.com. So it's mostly, WebShare is mostly good because you get a lot of proxies and then you get a lot of concurrent connections. Their network is not as big as a lot of others. You're talking like 50,000 proxies in the network compared to other networks that have, tens of millions. So if you really needed a lot of rotations, if you were going to do rotation per thing or per 10 minutes, you obviously need to have a bigger network. But if it's rotating once per month and your proxies aren't getting burned out, then it's fine, And in my experience, which, as I've been telling you guys, I scrape terabytes every month. These work. So, let's see. It's only like the third day, and I've already scraped of November, and I've already scraped 500 gigs. But let's see. 20 countries, 20 gigs. So let's say you come down to build your own, customize this thing here, right? You can see your typical proxies for a penny per proxy, really great price. And that's actually cheaper than some of the Russian services I sort of briefly saw. And then really, here's a sweet trick. You get this 5% discount at 500 proxies. So here you see it's $84. And then you get a 10% discount at 1,000 proxies. But what I figured out is you get the discount. Look, here's the discount here, 14%. And then here's the discount here, 19%. You get this discount if you just go over 500 proxies. So when you do it at 600, if you were to do 600, for some reason, I know something's happening there to not apply it, but if you do 600 proxies, they'll apply the discount that you get at the next phase. So that's a really cool trick. Basically, to my knowledge, that means, okay, if you have 10% discount here, then you should be able to go to, say 300, and boom, 15%. So I have like a coupon applied here for 10%, but that's why. So it's really typically 5%. So you could do 300 proxies and pay about $60, with a small discount, and then you can select some countries here. You got to do unlimited bandwidth. I feel like, I guess if you were not doing it a ton and you were just doing it by yourself a little bit, like you could save a lot of money and just go to 5,000 gigs. So that's 5 terabytes. Maybe some of you might be able to just do 500 gigs. I'd probably do here, but it just depends on your use case, and then you could just have automatic once a month proxy refresh. That's really cheap. Yeah, I see it's only a few bucks really. And that would probably be fine. Even once a week is not that much at this lower level of quantity. Oh, actually, $40. But I do recommend high concurrency if you're running multiple instances. But, again, it depends on your use case. If you drop this out, the price plummets because that's 60 cents a proxy. But anyways, that's one of the cool things about WebShare is you've got all these options. You get all these pricing variations that can allow you to customize the package to get you exactly what you need that's going to work for you. So that's pretty much it, guys. I appreciate you watching. That's my 2.0 video on proxies. Just to recap, I think that you might want to take a look at rotatingproxies.com in terms of their what is it called? Premium residential, basically dedicated proxies. That might be something to look into, but the Scrapebox proxies, the tech is not there yet. It's something I'm willing to revisit in the future once they improve the service and great customer service. But yeah, it just didn't get me where I wanted. Rotating every 10 minutes on these ports for localproxies.com. It works. It's viable. Something to check out. Something I recommend if you're interested in these features. And then finally, I got to circle back around to WebShare. WebShare, with the right settings, with the right package build, it's going to get the job done. I'm doing tons of scraping every month, and and now with scraping from Yahoo, the scrapes are pristine, and I'm just getting a whole lot more, contact information, a whole lot more URLs, a lot more contact information. And so it's great. That's pretty much it, guys. Appreciate your time. Hope you got value. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.